Hey everybody, Lindsay Czarniak here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with Kyle Larson doing the double. Kyle, it's so good to see you. I know this is your first time running the Indy 500. What's going through your mind?
Just excitement and joy, that the day is getting closer and hopefully we can do a good job. So I'm just really excited.
I want to know, when was the seed to do this, to really try to do this? When was that planted and how?
Well, I would say, I think it's something I've always wanted to do, from probably when I was racing go-karts and stuff. But once I started racing for Chip in 2014, because he owned both, IndyCar and Cup teams, I thought, as long as I'm here, I might be able to get to do it someday. And then I ended up not being able to race for him anymore. So I kind of thought it was done, at least for a while. And then we had a really good season in 2021 with Rick. So at the end of the season, I think it was around like Christmas time, I was like, man, I think I'd really like to try the Indy 500. And it just took some convincing, but shortly after they went to work on trying to find the right team, and because it had to be a Chevy team. So I feel like I've known about doing this for a couple years now, and then now it's finally here. It's just a good relief that it's finally here. I don't have to think about it anymore.
Really? What do you mean? Just
that, I think there's just something out in front of you. You look forward to it for a long time, and you get asked about it a lot. We announced myself doing this last January. So it's just been a lot of build-up. It's been a lot of build-up. So I'm just happy that it's finally here.
And when you talked about thinking about it maybe when you were racing earlier in your life, how did it register with you? Where did your interest in this race, in the Indy 500, come about?
So my dad has always been a really big IndyCar fan. I feel like probably more so than he was a fan of even NASCAR. So I understood, I think from an early age, how a race that was so important to him must be big, and so we would always watch Indy 500 and all that. And then I lived here for a couple years in 2011 and 12, and got to come here finally and see some practice days and stuff, and really got to hear and see the cars go around the track and see the crowds just for practice days. So I've only ever watched the race on TV and never gotten to come until then. So once I got to come here, I was like, this place is awesome.
What was it that made you say that?
I just remember coming here for the first time and standing down towards turn one, and the car just
we're looking down that
ripping,
way right now.
Ripping by, and I'd never seen a car go 220 something miles an hour before. So and it sounded different too than any car that I've ever had raced or watched race. So just all that was different and really exciting.
What does it mean to your dad?
Well, I think he's enjoyed this experience as much or more than anybody so far, just because getting to have his son compete in an event like this. He got to talk to Mario Andretti for the first time the other day on pit road during qualifying. So he said that was a dream come true for him, because Mario's been his favorite driver since the 60s.
Wait, so what is that like for you then too? Because in a way, it's you're living out one of your dreams, or you're about to, and you're also doing it for your dad.
Yeah, no, that's I think definitely something that I've recognized, and not only myself, but even or my dad and myself, but Jeff Gordon. I think it's been really cool to have him a part of the experience and all that, because he probably could have had the opportunity to do this, but he took the NASCAR stuff very seriously, and he grew up going to high school and school and all that, racing around Indiana and seeing what this place was like, and just getting to have him a part of the experience and the chaos, too, of helicoptering and flying and all that for the All-Star race last week was special to me. So I would say, I think I've been asked a lot, what's been the most special thing to you this couple weeks, and for me it's been seeing everybody experience it through me and being a part of that, seeing everybody's reactions to everything has been really special.
I think that's really interesting too that you say that, because you don't always get a chance to feel that, right? Or to process that that's actually happening.
Yeah.
And that takes a certain amount of talent to live in the moment. And you're really good at that. And I know you've talked about the fact that you think that, in sports, one of the most common sayings is you don't get too high, you don't get too low. But then there are other athletes out there that have a hard time doing that. How do you do that? How do you stay so even keel and in the moment?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like probably just, my upbringing maybe, my parents, I think they instilled, just a very good balance in my childhood and in my life of racing and staying humble. I remember them always telling me, because I would win a lot, in go-karts and stuff, and they would always tell me like, you need to be humble. Don't get too cocky or arrogant. Don't be one of those racers or competitors or athletes. So I've kind of always instilled that in myself, and I think that's helped me stay just pretty flat. Not ever get too excited, but then I'll also never get too down on myself when it's not going well. But then I also think when you come to big events like this, it's easy to get overwhelmed, and I feel like my upbringing has probably helped keep me kind of calm.
That's interesting. So when you're here, now that you have the month of May pretty much in the rearview mirror, getting ahead into the Indy 500, what has been the most surprising thing to you about your preparation time? Something that maybe you didn't expect?
I would say for me, the most surprising thing has been like, I listen to media, I listen to drivers, and they all do a really good job of like blowing it up like it's like the most crazy thing you've ever done before in your life. And like for me, when we would turn the boost up for Fast Friday, like I was so nervous for that.
Oh, really?
Leading into it, because I'm like, man, like everybody says it's like so fast, and you're gonna feel like it's way faster than race trim. So I was just like nervous. And then I went out there for the first time, and I was like, oh, I can't even really tell. Like I can tell I'm going just a little bit faster. But then I would say another layer to that surprisingness, like I got to crack into that. But then like each qualifying run I made after that, it did feel a little bit faster, a little bit sketchier, and all of that. So yeah. But other than that, I feel like nothing has surprised me too much.
I mean, I know they say qualifying here is kind of uniquely terrifying because of that, right? Because of the downforce lift, because of the handling so fast.
Yeah.
Did you register any of that?
Well, so that's, like, so when we first went to qualifying trim, maybe they had a little more downforce into it or something, but I was like, man, it doesn't feel, it's pretty comfortable. But then I think, because unique to Indy compared to what I'm used to, like you make multiple runs. You get to practice, qualifying runs, you get to, go through, you could qualify as much as you wanted to on Saturday. But like mentally, I was like scaring myself, I think, because each run you make, you think that, oh, they're gonna, the team's gonna try and make it go faster next time, so probably gonna take downforce off. And I was mentally spinning myself out, thinking that every time I go on the track, like it's gonna be harder to drive and I might crash now. So that was a little bit hard to kind of get myself talked into like, it's gonna be fine, and thankfully it was, but it was getting sketchier, I feel like, as I went.
How much have you talked about your process and what it will be ahead of race day? Just making sure that you're where you need to be in all aspects.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't honestly looked too far ahead to my calendar yet to like see what my obligations are and stuff, but I really look forward to race day here, because I've been here as a fan for race day, but I've never been here as a competitor. And I think that emotion and the atmosphere is going to be totally different, living through it as a competitor. So I'm happy to have my family here, friends, partners at Hendrick and Jeff Gordon, and Rick Hendrick will be here, my kids. Like there's a lot of people that have never been here for the race that I'm excited to have them be a part of it, and get to talk to them afterwards and see what they thought about the atmosphere and the pre-race ceremony and all the tradition that's around this event.
That blew me away the first time I saw it. You hear about it, but when you're in it, so I can't even imagine what it would be like to be on that grid as a competitor.
Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, you've got your father here. You just said the group of family that will be with you, your wife, your children. If you were able to win the Indy 500, I know you don't like to think ahead, but do you have any idea what would be going through your mind at that point?
I don't know. I think you can have like thoughts and imaginations, but I think until you actually live it, you just don't know. Like you don't know what that emotion's gonna be like. I've won big races in the past, and I would have to imagine like the emotion of when I won the championship at Phoenix. It would be like that, but probably even times 10, so, which that was to this point like the coolest, feeling I've ever had after a win, and like the rush of emotion and all that from everybody on the race team and all the fans, and I've really felt like the support from the whole world, I feel like, for me doing the double. And I think if I won, I don't know, I'd probably be bawling my eyes out for sure. So I know my dad would be, but I will probably be bawling my eyes out as well. I guess if I win here, the celebration would be very short, because I would have to get to Charlotte, to race. So it'll be different, but
in the air.
Yeah, I know. I've thought about that too. Like, man, if you won, like, what would the plane ride be like? It's gonna be like weird, because it'll be pretty focused and quiet, I feel like, and all that. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I see, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be a great problem to have, right?
Yeah.
But also then if the rain is another whole story, right? If that happens,
Yeah.
and then would you come back possibly from Charlotte if it gets postponed, or do you not know that?
I think it's all just kind of spur of the moment decisions, but hopefully the forecast just gets better for both places, and everything goes on as scheduled.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yep, thanks.
This is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, thank you.